Yeah, good morning, all of you. Welcome to today's session. Today we are going to see the second unit of geometry maintaining Java syllabus. So first chapter we have covered totally 5 videos. So all the first chapter has been covered with these 5 videos. So that I already posted in my YouTube channel. So today we are going to see the second chapter. Okay. So what especially we are going to cover in this session is see the classes and objects concept. So I'll try to explain what is a class, then objects, how to declare the objects. Okay. Then an example for defining a class and its methods, then assigning one object to another. Okay. And something we have access control, that is public, private, and protected keywords. We use these and how to use this. Next, we'll try to see accessing private members of a class. So if we have any private members in a class, how to access this? Okay. Then we try to see the basics of constructor. Okay, the types of constructor and constructor example. So all these things we are going to see in this particular session. So let's start with defining a class. Our next concept. So basically, what is a class is? Class is a user-defined and new data type. We can recall the structures concept in C programming, which is very similar to this class. Okay. So class is nothing but it's a new data type. Why we are calling it as a new data type is once you define the class, in that class structure, we'll try to declare the variables which is of integer or primitive data types. Okay. So class is something which is a template which consisting of all the primitive data types. Okay. So it's not a it is something like derived data types we can call it as. Okay. So that's why class is defined as a new data type. Once defined, this new data type can be used to create objects of that type. Right. So in general, class contains the properties and methods of a particular object. Okay, so let us understand with an example like a human. If you want to create a human, so what are the properties of the human is? It has some properties like his weight, okay, his body structure. That means how many legs and how many hands he has. What is the complexion of that human, right? Then we can define some of the methods of a human, like he can breathe, he can walk, he can talk, okay, he can see through the eyes. All these are also methods of the class. Okay, so once we define all the general properties of a class, then we can create an object of that class. We can create any number of objects of that class, because each and every human being is having the same properties. So if you want a human 1, then you can create H1. If you want a human 2, you can create H2. H2 is of type human, which which has all the properties of that human inside a class. So that is how we can understand the definition of a class. Okay. So class contains what? It has all the properties and methods of a particular object. So we can create any number of objects as we require, which is of type class. Okay. So that's why class is generally calling it as a template for an object. So, and the object is an instance of a class. Right? So here the last point you can see, because an object is an instance of a class, you will often see that two words, object and instance, used interchangeably. Okay. So generally, I said that object is an instance of a class. Nothing, it's a duplicate copy of a class. Okay, suppose if you have a class which has all the properties of an animal, then you can create any number of animals as you want. So each and every animal is of that type, which is a class. Okay, so that's why object is called as an instance of a class. That instance means it's a copy of a class. It's a duplicate copy of a class. So we can create as many number of duplicate copies as we require. Right? So that is what the definition of a class that we have. Right. So in general, in Java, we'll try to write a class in this format. So obviously, it should start with a keyword called class. So first of all, we need to write a class and then followed by the name of the class. And then open the flower brackets. Then you will try to declare the variables, whatever variables you want. First of all, you will mention the type, then variable, and then again variable 2. Like that, any number of variables you want, you can write all these variables. Then if all these variables are nothing but properties, then if you have any method, okay, then you need to mention the type and then method name, and then for that method, if you want to pass any parameters, you can pass the parameters. Then again, in that particular method, if you want to write some logic, then you can write with the help of the body of the method. So it is like open braces and closed braces. Within that, you can write the logic. Okay, like that, you can create any number of methods. So that's why it has been given method 1, method 2, and etc. to method n. Okay, so any number of methods we can write. So this is the general format of a class. Okay, so let's see a small example. So see here, here I want to write a class for box. So what are the properties of the boxes? It has some width, it has some height, it has some depth. And then what are the methods I can do with that these parameters, width, height, and depth? By using these three parameters, what can I do is I can find out the volume. Okay, so volume is the method I can do. I can perform on this particular class. So while writing the class for a box, you need to start with the keyword class and then followed by the name of the class, which is box. So for the first starting letter of that class should be, name of the class should be in capital letter. That is a general practice. If you don't write in capital, it's not a big issue. But in general, the good mechanism for writing a program in Java is always defining a class name with a starting letter as a capital. Right. Then it has three properties. The box has three properties, which is width, height, and depth. So these are the parameters, or these are the properties we can say, all of which accepts the double data type. Okay. By using the contents of this width, height, and depth, what can I do is I can calculate the volume. Right. So I am writing a method called volume, void volume, then system.out.print volume is, then you will calculate the method is, the formula for volume is width into height into depth. Okay, length into breadth into height, we can say that. So similarly, width into height into depth. So it is the total volume that we'll get. So this is how we can define a class. Right. So once again, I'm telling that a class always starts with a keyword class and then followed by the name of the class. The name of the class in general practices, we try to keep the first letter of the name as a capital letter. Then we'll define the properties. That means properties in the form of variables. And then we'll try to call them, we'll try to write in methods that we can perform on the parameters, that means attributes of that class. So I'm saying that here's the properties. In general, these properties are displayed in the form of attributes. Attributes means it has width, the height, and depth. All these are the attributes of a class called box. Okay. So as you can understand here, so these are the attributes, and then this is a method. The method is nothing but we try to find out the value here. So this is a general example for a class. Next, declaring objects. How to declare an object? See here, declaring an object is a two-step process. It has two steps. One is, first you must declare a variable of the class type. This variable does not define an object. Okay, instead it is simply a variable that can refer to an object. So what he's trying to tell you is, I'll just show you a small example here. I'll try to open Notepad. Right. So already we have a class. Already we have a class called box. So that two-step process in which we can declare an object. Okay. So one thing is, so I'm creating an object for the box like box OB. Okay, this is one step. But this doesn't allocate a memory for that class called box. It refers only a variable of type box. OB is a variable of type, which type? Box type. Box is what? Box is nothing but a class. It has some attributes and methods. Right. So this is one step. Okay. So this is the first step. The second step you need to do is new box of. This is what we call it as the second step. Okay. When you write the second step, then only an object of OB, which is of type box, is created, and it will allocate some memory inside the memory organization. So these two steps are required to create an object. Okay. In general, finally, what we write is we'll try to create. We'll try to write these two steps. That is what he is trying to tell you here is in this PPT. What he want to tell you is declaring of object is a two-step process, which is first we might declare a variable of the class type. Okay, so what is the variable here? What is the variable here? Here the variable is OB. OB is the variable. You can write any name here. It's not like the OB only you should write OB. No, you can write B1, okay, or anything, whatever you want, you can write. Okay, any kind, any name which you want to give, or you can write OB1, right? So like that, you can write any kind of name. So that is the first step we try to define him. And the second you must acquire an actual physical copy of the object and assign it to that variable. Okay, so you can do this by using a new operator. So that is what we have done here. With the help of the new operator, when you write the new box of, then what it happens is a physical and actual copy of the object is assigned to that variable. Okay, so the new operator dynamically allocates memory for an object and returns a reference to it. This reference is more or less the address in the memory of the object allocated by the new. So altogether, the total description, whatever he has given here, it is nothing but when you write a new operator, by using a new operator, what you will try to do is it will allocate a new memory in the name of OB1, which contains the property properties and methods of a box. Have you understood this? So whatever the description has given here, that summary of all these description is the new operator, what the new operator will do, the new operator will create a physical actual memory location in the name OB1, which contains all the properties of box. That is what the basic definition of a basic understanding of the topic of the statement. So this statement, in this statement, if you write only this thing, it is not enough. Or if you write only this statement, it is not enough. Okay. You should write combining these two statements. You can write it in 2 steps, or you can write it in one single step as it is. Okay. You can write in 2 steps also. First, we will declare an object, box value, and then new box. You can write like this also. Otherwise, you can simply combine it in a simple statement saying that box value 1 is equal to new box. Okay. Like that, I can create any number of objects. Okay. So I can create OB2, which is also an object for the box, object for the class box, okay, but with the reference OB2. OB2 is the new variable for this box. Like that, you can create any number of objects. Okay. But each and every time you need to refer with a different name. I hope you understood all this. Right? So OB1, OB2, OB3, OB4, like that, you can write any number of things. Okay. Next. So that is what he's trying to explain with the tutorial representation in the next slide. As you can observe. See here. Box my box is equal to new box. Here he has taken my box as a variable. He's not taken OB1. He has taken something called my box. You can write my box also. No problem. So this statement combines the 2 steps as described. Right? So you can write in this way, or you can write in a single statement, box my box is equal to new box. Or you can write like this, box my box, the first statement, and the second way, my box is equal to new box. So what happens when you do this kind of, see here there are 2 statements, because I told you that object declaration is a 2-step process. If you write this first step only, then what happens is, you can see here, I'll just show this. See here, box my box. If you written only this statement, this is created. Inside the memory, this is created. My box is created, but it doesn't have any data values. It has only null. Null means it has only 0. Okay. So only you are creating a reference variable for a class called box, but you are not storing anything inside that. So once my box is equal to new box, this statement is executed. So this statement, whenever this statement is executed, then exactly it is referring to the object here. Okay. It is referring to the class. What is that box class contains? Box class contains 3 different parameters which are width, height, and depth. Then it has other method called volume. That also can be referred here. Right? So my box is equal to new box. Then only this statement, if you write this statement, then only this my box contains what? It contains a copy of class called box. Okay. Box class lo ఏమేమైతే ఉన్నాయో అవన్నీ కూడా ఇక్కడ మనకి రిఫర్ దీనికి రిఫరెన్స్ గా ఈ పాయింటర్ దీనికి వస్తుంది అన్నమాట. So that is the effect of defining this. Okay. So that is how we need to create an object. So box my box, and my box is equal to new box. So in general, what we write is combining, we write in a single statement saying that box my box is equal to new box. So I hope you understood this. What is internally happening inside the memory when you write this statement. Okay. Right. So next thing, assigning one object to another. See, you are creating an object V1 for the box. Okay, for the class box, you are creating an object V1. Now what you are doing is you are creating box B2 is equal to B1. Okay. Box B1 అనే ఒక ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేశారు. దెన్ B2 అనే ఇంకో ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసి దానికి B1 కి ఈక్వల్ చేశారు. అంటే B1 ని తీసుకెళ్లి B2 లో పెట్టారు. ఇది చేయొచ్చా? Is this we can do? Is it valid to write this statement or not? Let's understand with the help of a concept of assigning one object to another. Okay. So see here, there are some points that we have. You might think that B2 is being assigned a reference, a copy of the object referred to by the B1. Okay. So what we think is B1 and B2 refer to the separate and distinct objects. Okay. B2, B1 రెండు కూడా రెండు different variables అని చెప్పి మనం అనుకుంటాం. But it is not like that. See what happens when you write B1 is equal, B2 is equal to B1 అంటే ఎన్ని ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ మనం క్రియేట్ చేసినా ఏమవుతుందంటే B1 is referring to this box, the class box. B2 is also referring to the class box. అంటే B1, B2 అనేది ఏంటి? It's only the variables. ఈ రెండు దేనికి రిఫర్ చేస్తాయి? క్లాస్ ని రిఫర్ చేస్తాయి. క్లాస్ ఎక్కడ ఉంది? క్లాస్ ఒక చోట స్టోర్ అయ్యి ఉంది. దాంట్లో ఏమున్నాయి? దాంట్లో కొన్ని మెథడ్స్, కొన్ని ప్రాపర్టీస్ అన్ని కూడా లిస్ట్ అయ్యి ఉన్నాయి. సో మీరు ఎన్ని ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసినా ఇట్స్ ఓన్లీ రెఫరెన్స్ వేరియబుల్ విచ్ ఇస్ రిఫరింగ్ టు దట్ పర్టికులర్ క్లాస్. ఓకే, ఇలా మీరు B3, B4 రెండు క్రియేట్ చేశారు. అవి కూడా B3 రిఫర్స్ టు బాక్స్ క్లాస్, B4 రిఫర్స్ టు బాక్స్ క్లాస్. లైక్ దట్ any number of objects you are creating, it's only a reference. B1, B2, B3, B4 ఇవన్నీ ఏంటంటే ఓన్లీ ద రిఫరెన్స్ అన్నమాట. సో ఇట్ రిఫర్స్ టు సేమ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్. అదే ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కి రిఫర్ చేస్తారు. బికాస్ ఐ సెడ్ దట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఆర్ నథింగ్ బట్ ఇట్స్ ఎ డూప్లికేట్ కాపీ ఆఫ్ ద క్లాస్. Okay, so that's what I have told. Object is nothing but it is a duplicate copy of the class. So that's why any number of objects we create, it's only giving the reference to that particular class. So that's what he has explaining here. Instead, after this fragment executes, even B2 will both refer to the same object. Rendu kuda same object refer chestam. Then the assignment of B1 to B2 did not allocate any memory or a copy any part of the original object. So it simply makes B2 refer to the same object as is the B1. Okay. So, sorry, ఎందుకు ఇలా జరిగిందంటే why assigning జరిగినప్పుడు రెండు ఒకే దాన్ని ఎందుకు రిఫర్ చేస్తున్నాయంటే బికాజ్ there is a no new operator. ఓకే, మీకు మెమరీ ఎప్పుడు అలొకేట్ అవుతుందంటే మీరు ఏదైనా న్యూ ఆపరేటర్ యూజ్ చేస్తే అప్పుడు మీకు కొత్తగా మెమరీ అలొకేట్ అవుతుంది. Right? So you are not writing any new operator here. So that's why you are simply assigning B1 to the variable B2, which is both are object type. Okay. So that's why. So this is happened. So B1, B2 both refers to the same class here. Next thing. So that is about the object. So we can do so many programs by using objects. Okay. Next thing. Access control for class members. See, basically, Java, both the classes, class members, and methods, whatever the thing we write in the class, everything is by default it is a public access specified. Okay? So all the members of the class is public. But whereas in C++, by default all the members are private. All the members are by default private. So, but here in Java, all the members of a class by default it is public. Okay. So, what is this access control is? See, we may restrict users who are going to access the classes and members that we written. Okay. So to restrict these users from being used these classes and packages and everything, we have three access displays: public, private, and protected. So when you write public in front of any class or any method, then that member can be accessed by any other code. Okay, ఎవరైనా సరే దాన్ని మనం యూజ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. Whereas in private, when you write any class or a method as a private, then that member can be accessed by the other members of its class. అంటే ఆ క్లాస్ లో ఉన్న అదర్ మెంబర్స్ మాత్రమే దాన్ని యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోగలరు. Okay, so only within that class, the other members also can be accessed to those private members. But whereas if you write protected, that member can be accessed by its subclasses within that package. Okay, packages and concept make us next package is nothing but it has huge number of classes. Package అంటే ఒక క్లాస్ కాదు, దాంట్లో number of classes ఉంటాయి. సో ఎప్పుడైనా మీరు ఒక క్లాస్ కి ముందు ప్రొటెక్టెడ్ అని రాస్తే what the meaning of that is, this class can be accessed by any other subclasses within that package. ఆ ప్యాకేజ్ లో ఉన్న మిగతా క్లాసుల వాళ్ళు కూడా దాన్ని యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. Whereas ప్రైవేట్ అని రాస్తే క్లాస్ లో ఉన్న అదర్ మెంబర్స్ అంటే ఓన్లీ విత్ ఇన్ దట్ క్లాస్ అదర్ మెంబర్స్ కెన్ ఆల్సో యాక్సెస్, బట్ నాట్ ద సబ్ క్లాసెస్. ఆ ప్యాకేజ్ లో ఉన్న వేరే సబ్ క్లాసెస్ దాన్ని యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోకూడదు. అలాగే పబ్లిక్ అని రాస్తే ఎవరైనా సరే యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఇన్సైడ్ ద కోడ్, అవుట్ సైడ్ ద కోడ్, ఎవరైనా సరే దాన్ని యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. దట్ ఇస్ హౌ దట్ ఇస్ వాట్ వి కాల్ ఇట్ యాజ్ ఎ యాక్సెస్ కంట్రోల్, right? Okay, see here, with the help of this diagram, I'm trying to show this which class can be accessed. So public and ask them within the class, yes, we can access. Other classes within the package, yes, we can access. Subclasses within that package and other package, yes, we can access. Any class in other package, yes, we can access. All the S, ఎవరన్నా సరే యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే, అది మీరు ప్రొటెక్టెడ్ అని రాస్తే within the class, yes. Other classes in the package, yes. Within that package, other packages, yes. But not other packages. Okay, వేరే ప్యాకేజెస్, బయట ఉన్న ప్యాకేజెస్ లో వాళ్ళు ఎవరు కూడా దీన్ని యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోకూడదు. ఓకే, దిస్ వన్ ప్రైవేట్. ప్రైవేట్ అంటే చూడండి, విత్ ఇన్ దట్ క్లాస్ ఎస్, ఇంకంతే, ఇంకా మిగతావన్నీ నో. ఓన్లీ విత్ ఇన్ ద క్లాస్ అయితేనే దాన్ని యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు, మిగతా వాళ్ళు ఎవ్వరు కూడా దాన్ని యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోకూడదు. డిఫాల్ట్, డిఫాల్ట్ ఇస్ ఆల్సో దేర్ విత్ ఇన్ ద క్లాస్, ఎస్. other classes within the package, yes. So same package అయితే యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు, అదర్ ప్యాకేజెస్ అయితే నో. ఓకే, మళ్ళీ సో డిఫాల్ట్ అంటే కొంచెం different thing. So these are the access modifiers in Java we have. Next. Okay. Next, there is a concept called accessing private members of a class. So now you will try to understand with the small example here. I'll just copy this in a notepad and try to execute it so that you can be able to understand. Or otherwise we can simply copy this in దీంట్లో కాపీ చేద్దాం. So I created new notepad. There are copying all the contents here. So after that, I'll try to execute. So what is the main method ఎక్కడైతే ఉందో దాని పేరు మీద ఏ క్లాస్ అయితే మెయిన్ మెథడ్ ఉందో దాని పేరుతో మనం ప్రోగ్రామ్ సేవ్ చేయాలి. సో we'll try to save this with the main. ఇక్కడ క్లాస్ మెయిన్ అని రాశాడు. సేవ్ చేయాలి. క్రియేట్ చేసాము. క్లాసెస్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ అని క్రియేట్ చేసాము. ఓకే. Now we'll try to understand what is this program is. See, first we have created a class tester. In that class, we have taken 3 variables: A, B, C. A అనేదేమో default access, B అనేదేమో public access, C అనేదేమో private access. Okay. So is it clear? A is a default, B is public, C is private. Yeah. We have written 2 methods here. One is set C. Set C అనే ఒక మెథడ్ రాశాడు. There is another called get C. రెండు మెథడ్స్ రాశాడు. Set C కి ఏం చేశాడంటే set C means what? We are setting the value for C. C కి ఒక వాల్యూ సెట్ చేయాలి. సో int I అనే పారామీటర్ దానికి పాస్ చేశాడు. దాని I is equal to C. C is equal to I అంటే I వాల్యూని C లోకి అసైన్ చేశాడు. Then after that, we are creating another method called get C. Get C is nothing but we'll try to return the value. What is the value of C అనేది protecting us? So this is what we are writing in the class test. Okay. Next. Main అనే ఒక ఇంకో క్లాస్ క్రియేట్ చేసాడు. దీంట్లో మెయిన్ మెథడ్ రాసాడు. ఇప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తున్నాడు చూడండి. Test OB is equal to new test of. So we are creating an object for the class test. ఈ test అనే క్లాస్ కి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసాడు. సో OB is equal to new test. Now OB.A is equal to what? OB.A అంటే ఏంటి? OB అనేది టెస్ట్ కి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కదా. OB.A అంటే ఏ వాల్యూ. ఏ వాల్యూ ఎంత ఇస్తున్నాడు? 1 ఇచ్చాడు. రైట్. కూల్. నెక్స్ట్ OB.B is equal to 2. B అనే వాల్యూ OB.B అనేది 2 ఇచ్చాడు. ఓకే. సో కానీ 2 అనేది ఇక్కడ యాక్సెస్ చేయదు. ఎందుకంటే this is public access. So we are writing B as a public access. Since it is public కాబట్టి B కూడా 2 కి అసైన్ అవ్వాలి కదా. Okay, let's see. So C చూడండి. OB.C is equal to 100. సో C ని మనం డైరెక్ట్ గా 100 అని అసైన్ చేస్తాం ఇక్కడ. బట్ ఇది ప్రైవేట్ వేరియబుల్ కాబట్టి C కి మనం వాల్యూ ఇక్కడ 100 అసైన్ చేస్తే తీసుకోదు. ఇక్కడ ఈ పాయింట్ లో C కి మనం వాల్యూ 100 అసైన్ చేస్తే తీసుకోదు. మరి ఎలా చేయాలి? దానికి ఒక మెథడ్ ఉంది. C కి ఒక మెథడ్ రాసాను నేను. ఆ మెథడ్ ద్వారా చేయాలి. ఓకే. సో OB.set C of 100. దాని ద్వారా మనం దాన్ని యాక్సెస్ చేయాలి. Now if you try to write A, B, C values ని ప్రింట్ చేస్తే OB.A, OB.B and OB.get C. OB.C అని రాయకూడదు. ఎందుకు? C అనేది ప్రైవేట్ వేరియబుల్. సో ఆ ప్రైవేట్ వేరియబుల్ లోకి వాల్యూస్ యాక్సెస్ చేయాలన్నా ఏం చేయాలన్నా బై యూజింగ్ దీస్ మెథడ్స్ చేయాలి. సెట్ C అంటే టు అసైన్ ద వాల్యూ, గెట్ C అంటే టు రిటర్న్ ద వాల్యూ. అయిపోలేదు, చేస్తాం. ఓకే. So let's execute this program. Then I'll try to find out what are the errors that we have. See. Output ఇక్కడ చూద్దాము. C has a private access in the test. So OB.1 is OB.C is equal to 100 is an error. Okay. And it couldn't also load the main program also. So we'll try to modify the name of the main. Main is a keyword generator. So we'll type the name of our code. Okay, see here. See, I have executed this. But what you need to do is here you need to keep the statement in comments because you are getting an error, right? obs.c. Because variable C cannot be modified directly. It has to modify with the help of a method because already we have written the methods set C and get C. Okay. So when you try to execute this, so here you can see here, A value is set to 1. Okay. Because in the program itself, we have written the same thing. So here in the program, A value is written to 1 and B value is set to 2. It will not show you an error, but I don't know why here we have done the comment here. Because it is a public variable, so we can directly access the public variable with any one of the, from wherever it is, it can be accessed. So B will be assigned to 2. Whereas C, okay, so this statement you need to kept in comment. Okay, because C variable should not be directly given the value, it should be given with the help of set C method. Okay, then after that I'm printing all the values ob.a, ob.b, and ob.get C. So you will get the result as A value is 1, B value is 2, and C value is 100. Right? So only thing here you can observe is private method ne access cheyalante direct ga మనం access చేయకూడదు. By using a method, we can set the value and we can get the value to that particular method. That is what we need to observe. Remaining public and default values ఎక్కడి నుంచి అయినా సరే మనం యాక్సెస్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. That is what we have learned, right? So that can be done. Okay. So that is accessing the private methods. That is the concept basically. Now move on to our next PPT. So next concept. So the next thing is constructor. So constructor basically what is a constructor is it initializes an object immediately upon the creation. Okay. So it has the same name as the class in which it resides and it is syntactically similar to a method. So constructor constructor is nothing but it is used to initialize the value. Constructor always how the constructor is defined is it is used to initialize the values. Values to initialize return constructor initialize. Then how can we write a constructor with the same name as a class? Okay, but it should be reside inside the same class, and it is very similar to the method లాగా ఉంటుంది. అంటే క్లాస్ నేమ్ రాసి దాని పక్కన మనం ఓపెన్ బ్రేస్ క్లోజర్ బ్రేస్ చేయాలి. ఓపెన్ బ్రాకెట్స్ అండ్ క్లోజర్ బ్రాకెట్స్. It is defined as a constructor. So once the constructor is called, automatically, immediately after the object is created, before a new operator comes. Okay, so once it is defined, the constructor is automatically called immediately after the object is created. So if like an object create చేస్తాము, constructor automatic call అవుతుంది. మనం separate గా constructor రాసి కాల్ చేస్తే well and good. Otherwise, if you don't write the constructor also, then automatically when you create an object, before the creation, it will create a constructor also. Okay, that you need to observe. Next, constructor looks like strange because they don't have any event type. దానికి event type ఉండదు, even not a void కూడా రాసి ఉండదు దాన్ని. Okay. So this is because the implicit type of the class constructor is class itself. So class type ఏంటి? Class itself. So that's why it is not called like that. Next, see, we can have a small example for creating a constructors. Okay, so I'll try to show the example products and చూపిస్తాను మీకు ఎలా ఇది constructor call చేస్తుంది అనేది. Already we have this example. See here the basic example here, or otherwise just see brain version చూడండి. So first we are writing a class called box. In that you have three variables with the height, depth. Then this is a constructor. Box and call చేసి open brackets close brackets ఇచ్చాము. System.out.println, we are writing a statement inside that, constructing a box, and we are initializing the values to these variables. ఈ మూడు వేరియబుల్స్ కి వాల్యూస్ నేను ఎక్కడ అసైన్ చేశాను? బాక్స్ అనే కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ అసైన్ చేశాను. ఆఫ్టర్ దట్ దాంట్లోనే ఒక మెథడ్ రాసాను ఈ క్లాస్లో, వాల్యూమ్ విడ్త్ ఇంటూ హైట్ ఇంటూ డెప్త్ అని. దెన్ క్లాస్ బాక్స్ డెమో6 అని ఇంకో క్లాస్ క్రియేట్ చేసి దాంట్లో మెయిన్ మెథడ్ రాసాను. సో ఇక్కడ చూడండి, ఇక్కడ రెండు ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ క్రియేట్ చేశాను. One is my box 1, రెండోది my box 2. So volume is equal to my box 1 dot volume. So my box 1 dot volume అని కాల్ చేయగానే ఓకే ఈ మెథడ్ కాల్ అవుతుంది, వాల్యూమ్ మెథడ్. దీంట్లో విడ్త్ హైట్ డెప్త్ మూడు ఉన్నాయి. ఈ మూడు ఎక్కడి నుంచి వస్తే వాల్యూస్ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ లో మనం డిఫైన్ చేసాము, 10 into 10 into 10. So you will get the value. That value will be stored in VOL, right? And next we are creating another object, box 2, my box 2. Here also the same thing. When you call here, it will be called this method. The method call out. Then after that, width and height and depth values we are initializing in the constructor. So then these three values are called and substituted in width, height, and depth, and then volume will be calculated and stored in the VOL variable. Okay, this is how it is done. So you can see the execution also for this particular program, how we are creating an object. Let's copy this. Now I need to save this program with the name box demo6 because in this class itself the main program is written. So I am storing this box demo6. So demo6. Java C. What is the class name? Box. Box demo 6.java. Okay. Times constructing box అని డిస్ప్లే అయింది. ఎందుకు డిస్ప్లే అయిందంటే ఈ స్టేట్మెంట్ మనం ఎక్కడ రాసాము, ఈ స్టేట్మెంట్ మనం కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ లో రాసాము. సో దిస్ ఇస్ ద కన్స్ట్రక్టర్. సో ఈ కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ లో మనం ఒక స్టేట్మెంట్ రాసాము కన్స్ట్రక్టింగ్ బాక్స్ అని. ఓకేనా. సో 2 సార్లు వచ్చింది. ఎందుకు వచ్చిందంటే మనం 2 సార్లు ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసాం కదా. ఇక్కడ కింద చూడండి, వీఆర్ క్రియేటింగ్ 2 times ఆబ్జెక్ట్. అంటే what is the definition of a constructor? When you are creating an object, automatically the constructor is called and initialized. ఓకే. సో ఎప్పుడైతే ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేస్తామో అప్పుడు కన్స్ట్రక్టర్ ఆటోమేటిక్ కాల్ అయ్యి దాంట్లో ఉన్న వాల్యూస్ మొత్తం కూడా అసైన్ అవుతాయి. సో కాబట్టి 2 సార్లు ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసాం కాబట్టి 2 సార్లు వచ్చింది. అండ్ విత్ 10 ఈ 3 విత్ హైట్ డెప్త్ అసైన్ అయిపోయింది. ఓకే. అసైన్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత వాల్యూమ్ క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేసాము 1000. నెక్స్ట్ టైం ఇంకోసారి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ క్రియేట్ చేసాము అప్పుడు కూడా 1000. సో బోత్ టైమ్ వీఆర్ గెటింగ్ వాల్యూమ్ యాజ్ 1000 and 1000. సో దిస్ ఇస్ we are creating a constructor. Okay. Then constructor create చేయడం ఇది ఒక పద్ధతి. Then constructor, we have some different types of constructors that we cover in the next class, right? So hope you understood all these concepts.